Hello and welcome back to the first Punters Guide of 2025. Hopefully it's a successful one. Hope you had a good break over Christmas and enjoyed the racing. We won't dwell on Christmas racing too much on this show because we've got our Road to Cheltenham show to talk about everything that happened over the Christmas break. But Joel, from Constitution Hill, Sagino, Galopin de Champs, it was a proper week's racing, wasn't it?
Forget all those horses, not interested. EF Francais, one of the best spectacles you've ever seen. Every time you had a little win, you'd have 10 quid on, 20 quid on, drifts out to 14 to 1. Another 20 quid on there. 2 out. Oh, it's not getting caught, this. Banbridge. No good. No good. JJ Slevin didn't want to ride it, so they put some fella called Paul Townend on. He's just sitting out the back, knitting. You know what? I would not have been here today if that horse had won.
Yeah, in case you didn't know, Joel had every £5, £10, £20 bet, double, treble on Il Francais to win. And so you were getting excited, weren't you, most of the way around. But we'll talk about that on the Road to Cheltenham on Monday. This show's all about Saturday's racing, 4 races from Sandown and 2 races from Wincanton. We'll kick it off with the 150 at Sandown, 2.5 mile handicap chase. Etalon has been well back to the top of the market for the Skeltons, who has won round here before. Is he another nicely handicapped horse for the Skeltons, Joel, or are we trying to find some value elsewhere?
Well, I didn't particularly fancy it. I thought it would be a double figure price because of the recent form. But I think there's more of a story into this. I mean, look, they want to win the 500 grand for the jockey, which you'll obviously split with Dan. And I think they're setting more and more horses up for ITV. So I looked at it and I thought at the price, 3 to 1, 7 to 2, probably off shorter. Wouldn't be for me, and look, missed Cheltenham, went to entry, but the back class is there. Jupiter de Gite, or Jupiter de Gite, for Gary and Josh Moore. Look, this horse needs to lead. It's got all way of going, hasn't it? Won at Fontwell in October. Beat Lord of Cheshire and Nigel's. I looked at this horse and I thought, look, I think Freddie, I don't want to knock Freddie because I think he's a really good little jock, Freddie Mitchell. I thought he got the fractions wrong last time out, so we'll give him a pass for that. Look, it's off 126, essentially 121 with Freddie's claim. I think he'll go from the front and not go off too ridiculous this time, as if shot, or as if he's got a firework up his bum. And it's one of those where if you're with Etalon, you're with Etalon, aren't you? And it's like a Tony Martin horse in Ireland back in the day. Otherwise, we're getting more value on something like Jupiter de Gite.
Jupiter de Gite for yourself. And yeah, Etalon obviously has a big chance. He won here off a 131 last year, only £4 higher, and he has been up into the 140s on ratings. I thought you might have given a shout to Triple Trade, but maybe that's Matt that's been putting him up in the past. I think he represents a good bit of each way value. He's ran well, going right-handed at Ascot a number of times. His mark is sliding. He's off 127. He was up to 138 around this time last year. He obviously has to refine some old form, but I wouldn't put it past him to run well. So we're a bit split in the first race we're looking at on ITV, the 150 at Sandown. The next one we'll take a look at is the 225, 2.5 mile mares listed hurdle. Della Casa Lunga, rated £9 clear of the field. Is this a penalty kick, John?
I think this is up there with the best bet of the weekend. I think people look at this as well, and you get a lot of casuals who have fallen in love with racing over the Christmas period and gone, this is really good. Horse racing, I never liked it before. And then you've come to Sandown and Wincanton and you've looked at, let's be honest with you, it's pretty much hot dog water this weekend. But you look at it and they've probably got all the names of your Skeltons, your Nichols, your Henderson, your Willie Mullins, Gordon Elliott, whatever. And you've gone, who's it? Clive who? Clive who? And who's this? Arpats, who's riding it? Honestly, though, if you look at this, and I'm hoping that loads and loads of people just go over this, 9 to 4, I think, is a complete steal. Like, it's another one that needs to make all, I think, and needs to go right-handed. But she's got some guts, and she battles. Best filly in the race. I think the negatives I was looking at, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I couldn't sleep, so I was looking through some of the past races for this filly. And look, 2 miles 3, probably a little bit short, but get away with it on class. Second run after the wind up and the 8-day turnaround. But, you know, I generally thought, look, it's best horse in the race, but because pretty much any casual fan hasn't heard of the trainer and will only associate Richard Patrick with Kerry Lee would go, who? I think if you can get 9-4, I think it's absolute steal this weekend.
I agree. I think best bet of the weekend. And like you said, the negative is the trip. She's obviously better over further, but the fact that she can go from the front, make it a test, set her own fractions, means I think she can just win this. Yeah, they're clear on ratings, clear on class, and hopefully she doesn't get done for a bit of speed. She just goes from the front and goes and wins. We're keeping it simple in the 225 at Sandown. Right, 3 o'clock. One for the old boys. 3 miles they've got to go, these veterans. Copperhead's top of the market. Eldorado Allen, he's a bit of a fan favourite, isn't he, for the Tizzards? Sam Brown, I know you're a bit of a fan of him, Joel. Where are we looking in the veterans chase?
Well, the fanboy only comes back once. Sam Brown won a race last year, was it? It was rerouted to Warwick, wasn't it, when Sandown was off? I think both, not so much you, but Matt really had a go at me when I was talking about the Charlie Hall chase and put it up. And I think it was only 6 or 7 runners or something like that. But it did come third behind the Real Whacker and Brave Man's Game. The horse takes time to warm up, stays on, and obviously lacks pace because the horse is 13-year-old. Freddie is on the favourite, so a lad, is it Chad Beaumont, who claims a 10, being associated with the stable. He takes over. It's been running in a visor, switches to blinkers. A lot of people say in the veterans chase, you've got to go for the youngest horse, which is sometimes a really, really good thing to do. But I think a couple of years ago, another one that I put up was Wishing and Hoping, and I think that would have been 12 or 13 or something like that. So I'd be having Sam Brown. I love watching these old chases because fingers crossed they're bomb proof when it comes to the fences and they know what they're doing. But I really do think that the kid on board is just going to be a passenger. The horse ain't going to change after 13 years. But I'm not sure of the price now. Maybe 6-1, something like that. Sam Brown. You can't say improving at 13 years old by any means, but in a race like this, just it's one for me. Go for the 13-year-old.
You're right, they are good fun to watch, these, aren't they? We've obviously seen these horses plenty of times, and yeah, they jump brilliantly, these old handicappers. I did think you might have a go with Sam Brown, and the £10 claim might be all the difference, as he obviously carries top weight. I thought Fortescue was a decent each-way bet. Henry Daly's in good form, 29% strike rate. He has been a bit hot and cold. He was second in March, and then was beaten 28 lengths, and then was second in October, and then beaten 52 lengths the next time. So he has been hot and cold, and that would bode well if he does come back with a big run here. He won't mind the soft ground at all. He's put in plenty of big performances on really testing ground, and if that kind of hot and cold streak continues, and the yard is in good form to suggest that he might run well, I thought around 7-8-1 wasn't a bad each way play on Fortescue. But I must admit, probably a bit of a sentimental bet there as well. Everyone in these veterans chases seems to have a horse you just keep backing. Right. The last at Sandown, 3:35, 2 miles.
Look, the Shambard.
Handicap hurdle.
No, the Shambard in that race as well. And I looked at it and it's, I put it up for Aintree when I was in Lapland, and that was, it was off. But everybody looked down and you go, oh yeah, I've had a touch on that one. I backed it 47 times. It's won twice. I remember backing it at 5 to say, oh yeah, and all that. But Sam Brown for me, Fortescue for you.
The Mighty Don used to be that horse for me. Used to love him going around Cheltenham, off the bridle on the first lap, and somehow stay on and win. Right, enough of these old boys. Well, actually not, because it's a veterans chase we'll look at Wincanton. But before that, the last race at Sandown is a 2 mile handicap hurdle. What do we like in here, Joel?
Well, Joy Machan turns up in here, was second to Facile Vega on debut in the bumper. I was all over this for the champion bumper. And then ever since, it's not really done a lot since with the hype. And I think a lot of that hype was from me and has moved to the Skeltons. So I think we're going more dirty down on this one. We'll just see what we've got and plough it round the back and see what happens there. Is it Joie de Vision for Henry Daly and Sam Twiston Davis? I was looking at Henry Daly's stats just in the last couple of weeks, and he's 4 from 14, 29%. Looks half decent. This horse and seat at the first at Ascot in November. Now, who was on board that day over hurdles? Charlie Deutsch. What are you backing Charlie Deutsch over hurdles for? He's the king over fences. Come on. You don't back Charlie Deutsch ever hurdles. You know, if he's on any old pig over fences or win. Was beaten 3 lengths at Sandown by Ubeti, who won over Christmas at Kempton. That's up £5 as well. And so just go back to Jeu d'Evasion. I think that's how you pronounce it. But I'm not massively in love with the French since Il est Français at the weekend. So Jeu d'Evasion in a very Yorkshire accent.
Yeah, I'd probably wave the white flag. I don't really have a strong fancy, but the one that I would flag up would be Hardy de Soy for Jamie Snowden, who won this race 2 years ago in 2023. Behind him that day was ICO and J-Lo, who have obviously gone on both to be half decent. Didn't work out over fences for Hardy de Soy last year, so they seem to have, well, they obviously have for this race, but I'd imagine he's just going to stay over hurdles now because he made his reappearance at Carlisle in a 2-mile handicap hurdle where he came second. That could be a nice little setup to come back and have a crack at this race. So Hardy de Soy in the lucky last at Sandown for me. The 2 at Wincanton we are going to take a look at. One is a 2.5 mile veterans handicap, and the other is a handicap handicap hurdle, over 2 mile 5. The veterans is at 240. Le Ligerian was my shout in here. The Tizard's not in the best of form, only 2 winners from his last 20 runners over the last 2 weeks. But Le Ligerian put in a massive performance last time out at Lingfield, won by 5.5 lengths. Has been up £7 for it, yes, but he was in the mid 130s. Or falling from the mid 130s, I should say, last year. He's obviously refound some form. I know the yard's not going great, but these veterans, he's ran well last time. They obviously like having winners at Wincanton. 2.5 miles, soft ground. That's his bag. I think he can win. Am I right or am I wrong, Joel?
Well, do you know what? I like this because I went through there's so many negatives in this race, so many horses that you can put a line through. And the only 2 that didn't have a line through were your horse and the favourites, Notre Valatus or whatever. So many foreign horses this weekend. Tell you what, British racing's gone. Tell you. Keldistan pulled up at Aintree, has had wind surgery. Doesn't look like it. That's worked. The Widowmaker has had nearly 2 years off. Longshanks is back to point to point. Last time out, it was a 3-runner race, came second. Red Rookie needs further. Stormy Flight, handicappers got the horse now. So I got it between the 2, the favourite and your horse. So I think very much so that it's not a race that I would play on if it was a Tuesday afternoon and someone had sent me a free bet. But I would go with your horse and the favourite. So 2 ones that you can probably not pronounce. You pronounce yours first.
The Ligerian.
The favourite.
There we are. 2 against the field. Joel's put a line through the rest of them. Hopefully we have found a winner between us in the veterans there. Right, the last one we'll take a look at is 3:15 at Wincanton. 2 miles, 5.5 furlongs to go. What do we like here, Joel? Talk me through your selection.
Okay, right. And again, I've just put a line through a horse that's had nearly 2 years off. Now, again, it's after the brilliant quality of racing over Christmas and New Year. It's a race that you go, oh yeah, I might check the result of that later. However, Storm Dennis at 33-1 in this race. Look, if you look at Kempton at the end of February 2 years ago, won a similar race off £8 higher. And Connections must think that they've got something with the horse or they're completely out of the mind. It's been mixing it with Broadway Boy, Jubilee Express, Grey Dawning, Theatre Glory, the Bomber Liston. All right, getting well beaten. But Chris Gordon on stats, hello, I looked at those stats last night. He's got a really good record of getting them back from an extended break. Just the 647 days here. Look, might be going well, 2 out and blow up or something. But in a race that you probably wouldn't have a strong opinion on, the outsider of the field at 33-1, Storm Dennis, Chris Gordon. I just thought it was worth your £5 each way, because there's nothing else that I'm coming down on going, I'm really strong on this.
Storm Dennis on a stormy weekend, hopefully racing goes ahead. I was just thinking as you're talking through that, I don't think either of us have put up a shout for any Henderson trained horses, which is quite amazing considering the form they are. I can't seem to lose at the moment. I think the favourite will have a great chance. Cadeau de Joy has won twice the last time, seems to be improving. Mr. Byrne on board probably can get the job done. But there's a horse that I think is overpriced, and that's Latin Verse, who was well backed for the Boodles at Cheltenham. Didn't happen for him there. So sorry, not well backed in terms of punted price-wise, well backed in the room we were stood in, Joel, if you can remember, after the amount of red wines you had. And then, okay, 7th, by being 18 lengths, you're not getting excited about that, but a decent race. And then 2nd at Huntington last time, the time before last, and then Taunton, not much to show. But I just feel like the horse maybe can put in a big performance with Mr. Cobden booked is obviously a big positive. Right, I think I know where we're going with this. But in 6 races, who's the nap of the weekend?
Well, obviously Latin Verse and Storm Dennis, £5 reverse forecast. Look, you know you've got to put it on. You know you've got to put it on, don't you? And Della Crassalunga, I think, is absolutely outstanding value at 9-4. Look, you can look at your positives, your negatives, whatever. But I think that, best filly in the race by a long shot. And because you haven't heard of the trainer, I think that's even better.
Yep, that's the 225 at Sandown, Della Casalunga, and that'll be the same shout for me. Hopefully I can redeem my waffle about Latin Verse providing a nice winner at Sandown. 6 races for you. Hopefully there's some winners. And then on Monday, as I said, we can dissect what was just a brilliant Christmas period and plenty to talk about, with probably the champion hurdle and the novice chases being the focus.
I'm genuinely excited. I wish we were all together in a room with a cheese board and a couple of wines, talking about all that stuff over the Christmas period. If you're a racing fan, you know how good it was. You talk about Sergino and New Lion and Constitution Hill, and people will have opinions and whatever. I think if you sat around a big table, got a few jars in, I think you'd get 2 hours out of that. It was so good this weekend, so good, and everybody's full of opinions.
Hopefully. Not looking positive by how Matt sounded before the show, but hopefully the 3 of us will be together. Matt's lost his voice, so he's no good to us in his vocal opinions, but I'm sure the 3 of us will chat ahead of the show, and we'll go through all of the Christmas racing with an eye on Cheltenham, because it's time, I think, to start building those anti-post slips. That's all for this weekend.